All right, let's dive into the book, Choose Your Life. It asks a pretty powerful question, one that might even stop you in your tracks. Are you really living, or are you just kind of going through the motions? It promises a way out of the ordinary, a path to something extraordinary. And today, we're going to break down exactly how.
The book kicks things off with this beautiful quote from the Velveteen Rabbit, and it really gets to the heart of the matter, doesn't it? The point isn't to be perfect, it's about the journey of becoming your most authentic self, even if you get a little bit scuffed up along the way. This whole idea of becoming real, that's what we're really digging into.
So that brings us right to the big question the book throws at you. Are you truly living, or are you just going through the motions? The author suggests that a lot of us are kind of walking around like zombies, stuck on autopilot, glued to our phones, totally disconnected from ourselves and the world.
But here's the good news. It doesn't just point out the problem and leave you there. No, the whole point is to give you a guide, a clear path to step out of that sleepy autopilot life and into one that feels intentional, maybe even a little magical.
Now, officially, the book breaks this all down into these 5 steps you see here. But, and this is the key, all of these actions are built on 3 foundational pillars. To really get the steps, you have to understand the pillars first, and that's exactly what we're going to unpack.
So it all starts right here, with pillar number 1, seeing your inner world. It makes perfect sense, right? Before you can change anything, you have to get really aware of what's going on inside. And the book has this fantastic analogy for it. Your life is like a GPS. You can type in any destination you want, a tropical beach, the top of a mountain, but it's completely useless until it knows your current location. Well, it's the same with your life. To get somewhere new, you have to be totally honest about where you are right now. A huge piece of that current location is all about our unconscious habits. Think of these as invisible programs running in the background of your mind. They're the beliefs and reactions you picked up from your family, from society, but you never actually sat down and chose them. And yet, they're secretly calling the shots every single day.
And right alongside those habits, we've all got these things the book calls internal blockers. You can picture them like your ego's own little security team. Their only job is to keep you safe, which really just means keeping you playing small. The second a new opportunity comes along, something that might lead to growth, they jump into action to shut it down.
So, what do these blockers actually sound like in the real world? I bet some of these feel familiar. You've got procrastination whispering, I'll do it tomorrow. Perfectionism saying, it's not quite ready yet. Overanalysis just trapping you in a million what-ifs. These are the sneaky little strategies your ego uses to keep you right where you are.
Okay, so once you can actually see your inner world, all the habits and blockers, the next giant leap is to take complete ownership of it. This brings us to pillar number 2, owning your reality.
The book introduces this concept called insane responsibility. Now, I know that sounds intense, but listen, this is not about blame. It is the exact opposite. It's about empowerment. It's the radical idea that you either create, allow, or sustain everything in your experience. You are the one holding the pen. You're the author.
To really get this idea of ownership, the book makes a critical distinction. It puts it perfectly. Pain in life is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. Bad things are going to happen. That's just part of life. But the suffering, the authors argue, that comes from our response to the pain.
And here's how that breaks down. On one side, you have the fact, what literally, objectively happened. And on the other side, you have the story, all the meaning, the judgment, the interpretation we layer on top of it. The suffering? It almost always lives in the story, not the fact.
So how do we participate in our own reality? The book says it happens in 3 ways. We create a situation by taking actions that lead to it. We allow something to happen by just passively letting it continue without saying anything. Or we sustain an old pain by just replaying that story in our heads over and over, long after the event is over.
Now, this is where things get really transformative. If you truly own your reality, then your biggest complaint isn't just a problem anymore. It's a roadmap. The thing that frustrates you the most is actually pointing you directly at what you're meant to change or create. It's your life's mission in disguise. Okay, so we've learned to see what's happening inside, and we've taken full ownership. What's left? Well, you have to actually do something. This is the final pillar, designing your life in action. The book uses this great metaphor of a classic warrior's quest. And that quest for an extraordinary life, it doesn't begin with a huge victory. It starts with one single courageous step. The moment you decide to leave the safety and familiarity of your comfort zone.
And as soon as you step outside those walls, you enter what the book calls the testing grounds. This is where you'll face your dragons, the challenges, the setbacks, the moments of doubt. But these aren't signs that you should turn back. They're actually necessary tests to forge your commitment.
See, it's by facing down those dragons that you build the muscle and the wisdom you need to finally reach the castle where your dream lives. You can't skip the journey, because the journey itself is what prepares you for the destination.
Now, a huge part of surviving that journey is changing your relationship with failure. The book urges us to see failure not as some final outcome, but as simple information. It's just data. It tells you what didn't work so you can adjust your approach and try again. Only this time, you're smarter.
And while you're chasing those goals, here's a crucial insight from the book. The goal isn't really the goal. The feeling you think the goal will give you, that's the goal. We don't just want $1 million. We want the feeling of freedom it represents. Once you focus on the feeling, you realize there are 1,000 ways to get there.
And finally, we get to the most essential ingredient, the one we all seem to forget: fun. Building an extraordinary life is not supposed to be some grim, serious homework assignment. Joy and play aren't the reward you get at the very end. They are a vital part of the process itself.
So, we've walked through seeing our inner world, owning our reality, and designing our life in action. It all comes back to you now. After everything we've talked about, what is one complaint, one frustration in your life that you can choose to see as a roadmap to your mission, starting today?